lots of different pieces of your computing environment and your end user's environment to make that more valuable. And that's indeed our theme for where Notes is going in the future. So we haven't announced the next major release. I'm not doing that today here either. But I want you to know that we're working on that now, even as we work on release 8.5.1, which we're sort of a month away or so from shipping. We're working on the next major release. Now, we'll probably not call it Notes 9. And my boss gets a little nervous when I say that because he's worried somebody's going to spin it as, oh, well, if there's no Notes 9, Notes must be dead. And that's clearly not the case. But it just feels like this is an opportunity when we start thinking about what our vision of the future is to call it something different. And I'm not thinking, Notes 2010 or XP or something like that. We'll come up with something interesting. But our vision is really better business outcomes for end users. We've focused so much on helping everybody work together better that the one element that we need to sort of go back and refocus on now is helping the individual be more productive. And so there's a lot of elements of working faster, smarter, accomplishing more that we really want to bring into the product. One concept we've talked about, for example, is the notion that we call total recall, that the user should be able to have tools that answer the question, I know I just read this, where was it? We all face that numerous times every day. We have tools like history to kind of get there today in some of the, in the Notes client, in our browser, et cetera. We're not really there yet. So those are some of the questions we want to answer as we really take this forward beyond email as collaboration and into collaboration that's inclusive of email, this collaboration console. And the thing that continues to make Notes sort of demonstrably different and mostly valuable in the market, more valuable than any other tool in this collaboration space, is the application environment. We've had this swirl chart in presentations probably going back to version 7, and we just keep adding more colors and more rings to it because we've had this philosophy of never taking away fundamental capabilities or components of the Notes Domino application environment. But we continue to add functional enhancements, new languages, new approaches, while bringing forward all those applications. How many have an application in your production environment that's been running in Notes for more than 10 years? Okay, half the room. That's what I would expect. Anybody think that they've got one running more than 15 years? Besides your personal journals? Yeah, you've got some. Okay, good. So, no other vendor can really claim that that's an easily done thing in their environment, and yet we've constantly focused on that interoperability and forward and backward compatibility. At Lotus Fair Comes to You, one of the product managers on our team asked in the audience in Cincinnati, what are the characteristics of Notes applications that really make them valuable in your environment? And one of the developers there said they just don't break. They run, we modify them, we update them, but they just don't break. We add new functional enhancements, we can respond to user requirements, we can leverage new technologies, but they just keep going. So, if we can do that and continue to bring forward and evolve with the market, I think that continues to keep us right in the center, at the center of where things are. So, integration. So, some of the things that we've been doing to make that client experience even more valuable. Is Mike Masterson sitting in the room right now? Yeah, over there. Okay. Mike's a product manager on my team and has been working really hard on bringing in all of these Web 2.0 components and technologies into the Notes client environment. So he's touched all these different vendors and really understood the concept of this collaboration console and how to bring in individual information that is important and useful for me into an environment where I'm collaborating with my entire organization and my customers and my partners. So we've developed and delivered plugins for LinkedIn and TripIt. Everybody on LinkedIn? How many are on LinkedIn? Almost everybody. Yeah. Okay. This is the first deliverable. We're going to do a lot more in this space. Initially it's get your email and LinkedIn updates all in one place and be able to search and share status and the like. But we want to do more. We want to do things like wire together the live text names in your Notes environment so that when you open an email message, you can see the LinkedIn profile of the person who sent you that message and get more contextual information about the people you're corresponding with. But that really brings together, again, for me as the user, much more of an individualized experience in my Notes environment. Another one is TripIt, probably less well known in the room. TripIt is a travel planning site, which its best feature is that any itinerary that I get booked for me, I email over to plans@tripit.com, turns it into an iCalendar feed and a social networking tool. So I can find out, as I did when I was in Melbourne 2 days ago, 3 days, I don't know anymore, earlier this week, speaking at a Lotus Technical University there, I went to do my demo of TripIt, and one of the things it does is for all the other people you're connected to on TripIt, it'll tell you who's close to you at any given time or who's going to be close to you. So I clicked the Who's Close button, and it showed me 3 people in my network who were close, and it turned out they were all in the room. So I could probably do the same right now. I'm not going to go try to do a demo right at the moment. But it was fascinating to learn that my network was that close to me. One of the people who was there at the time I didn't know was going to be speaking at that particular conference. So again, the tools provide a level of value beyond just, hey, I've got my travel plans in an iCalendar feed, which is pretty important to me given the amount of travel that I do, and that I don't have to manually enter that information in my notes calendar. But even more so, it has a component of collaboration to it as well. So those are 2 that we've shipped. Here are 3 that we're working on right now. Tungle is a group calendaring site where if you're trying to schedule a meeting, especially outside your organization, you need to pull together multiple people. Really great tool that basically everybody contributes in what their available times are, and it goes in and looks for what is the time that everybody has in common and sets up the group meeting and uses iCalendar and the like to do that. So we're going to build some integration with Tungle. We're working with Salesforce.com to upgrade their integration. They haven't built anything since Notes version 7. And then OpenSpan's are you going to talk about OpenSpan in your session? OpenSpan's a really cool partner, and they actually did a press release just yesterday on this integration, where their integration with the Notes client allows you to plug in a Windows application, a host application, an ActiveX, all sorts of different application components, and wire them together into a composite inside the Notes client environment. So again, being in the epicenter, being the integrating client, being the collaboration console, now we can bring together all sorts of different applications in that environment. So it's pretty cool stuff. We haven't been very aggressive in talking about it, but it's certainly a key part of the message around what the Notes client can do today. So another way we can be at the epicenter is to develop much more of a community, even more so than has existed around building applications for the platform. So we can go out to these individual vendors and say, LinkedIn, we'd really like to work with you and build a plugin or TripIt or Tungle or whatever. But ultimately, the more that we can provide code out to the market that delivers functional value, either as a complete application or as widgets or plugins or components, the more value that Notes environment is going to have overall. So up until 2009, it would be fair to say that IBM sort of maintained an arm's length distance from OpenNTF as an open source community around Lotus Notes and Domino. It was great that it was out there, but we weren't very active in participating with OpenNTF. And we realized late last year that if we and some really smart partners and customers got together and put a real foundational structure around the organization and really elevated its game, that would benefit everybody in the market overall. That we would be able to get yet more code out to the market. And we immediately started by contributing an Xpages-based wiki. There are a whole bunch of organizations contributing today, and our development organization, every developer has it in their goals and objectives this year that they should contribute something to OpenNTF. So I kind of feel like we're through the bureaucracy phase, if I may. And people like John and others in the room have worked very hard to get through that phase. And now we're at a point where this is really going to be a critical component of how we open up the aperture around developers in the Notes Domino environment. How many are developers in the room? Okay, so about a third of you. Developers are going to be a key message for the 8.5.1 release. I'm not going to sit here and do the Steve Ballmer monkey dance. I have